global audience of our finalists for the 2022 Extreme Tech Challenge. And this is the start of our full week of 10 sessions of your 2022 XTC Bootcamp. As with those of you who joined us on Friday, I'm going to ask the founders to please put their questions into the Zoom chat, and I will curate and summarize them in the Q&A session after these talks. Today, we're very pleased to have with us one of our top tier visionary sponsors, Decisive Capital Management of Switzerland. Decisive is a wealth management advisory firm with over 100 professionals from 19 nations speaking 21 languages, involved with a wide range of investments. So they really mirror the global coverage and mission of Extreme Tech Challenge. And indeed, today they're going to share their experiences with startup founders, helping support, accelerate, and invest in your commercial visions, your visions. And for that, we have the Chief of Staff at Decisive, Jérôme Vassimile, along with Marzena Zuchowski, Head of Decisive Marketing and Communications, who both have extensive experience in the investment process. And that's what they're going to share with us today. I won't delay further, but let Jérôme and Marzena take it away with their experiences in the tough world of investment.
Thanks for the kind introduction. Let me start by sharing screen and then we'll get into the subject. So first,
there we go. See your screen.
Great. So up front, you will see that actually the topic that we have shaped for today is called the Founder's Wellbeing Journey. And I think you will gain insights on this topic and as to why we decided also for this change. In one way, also our apologies for those who were expecting our kind of expert insights in terms of due diligence and sourcing, analysis, and selection, and kind of packaging as well of the direct tech deals that we work with. Our colleague was actually a bit under pressure, as most of you, if not all of you, are actually with some of the current deal flow. And so he asked us to back him up. And one of our only 3 values is one team. So we took that challenge without a hesitation. I won't apologize for the quality of the content. I'll let you judge. But it's something that Marzena and I wrapped up over the weekend as to bring value in a way that we see is not the traditional corporate speech, sponsor, supporter, speech, really thinking of you, the founders, and our angle as well in terms of the investment side, but also from different angles, leveraging our experience. So I will get into that. Okay, click here. So what we will take you through the next hour is divided into 3 pillars. First of all I would like to say that let's also, as John said, we can collect Q&A and cover everything we can at the end. But I think also at some point I may ask for a specific intervention of one or another if you want to make an intervention that can help for the rest, because I think there's also a surprise along the way. And our guest, Dimitri, I will introduce him also after. I wanted to also be able to present the topic, not only through maybe our biased angle in a way, but also from the words of someone who's sitting in the same chair as you specifically and has lived everything you have lived. So the 3 pillars we suggest for the next hour is starting with the journey. And we had some fun thinking of different angles in terms of the entrepreneur, the founder's journey, and how we will link that then to some troubles we perceive, we have lived ourselves, we have seen our friends and family live, and with no doubt a majority of us, at least statistically, are living as well. And with the 3rd one finally closing with some, of course, some actionable insights.
Just
I believe Mr. Uche, Greg.
Jerome, let's pause for a
Yes.
minute. John, can you mute whoever joined? I see a couple of people joined that have not been muted. Decisive, now
Okay,
you're
go-
muted. Found you muted, Decisive.
Okay, here we are back online. And so basically, to start, just a few words about ourselves, Marzena and myself, for you to understand as well the context and the value we saw in sharing these insights and experience. So myself, been through the startup journey and also a few fails in terms of ideation, prototyping, building a project and team, and then for various reasons, not going forward with those. Moving into wealth management, strong from those kind of startup and fundraising experiences, wanting to learn about how this space of wealth management, private banking actually works, trying to disrupt it from within, not so easy. So then I actually moved back out of that incumbent traditional mammoths, monoliths, if you want, and taking a different angle to bring innovation to that sector through fintech accelerators, where I was entrepreneur in residence, then launching an accelerator, and then joining a digital transformation company to bring digital solutions to this space. And now at Decisive, which is a next-gen financial advisor as a chief of staff. So quite transversal and leveraging this experience. The picture I chose for today is to represent the topic of the day. So, kind of is work hard, party hard until the family kicks in. You just have as much fun replacing party with family. And I guess that's part of the last pillar that we will close the hour with in terms of some insights on how we can combine everything together. Marzena?
Yeah, so very briefly about myself. So I have over 20 years of working in the wealth management industry, looking after clients, communication, marketing, philanthropy. I'm also involved in, I'm following startups all over the world, maybe focusing on sustainable fashion, which is not at all, something that I thought I would be doing, but the opportunity came up. So with 3 co-founders, we started a sustainability brand in Nigeria. So this is a long journey. But it's a wonderful project. And here at Decisive, I'm looking after the global brands, and we're raising the bar quite extensively right now. So there is a lot to do, and it's a fantastic job to have.
Thank you, Marzena. So now kind of diving into the session per se. We all know that founders tend to be purpose driven, and they're determined to get complex things done. We know with all of the timing constraints, of course, that we know, and this puts a lot of pressure on the founders. It's long days often required, and some people around us might see that as negatively. All of kind of the impact that has on our friendships, our family, our romance, our co-workers, so across the board. And so I wanted to just start by, here I just took a few snapshots of a KPMG report. This is a study of 70 founders in Australia, but I think it's quite representative. As seeing these 3 pillars here, a lot of you and us, I would say some of us also live, Decisive in the end, we're year 6 of the story. So we're just really transferring from that startup to scale-up phase, 100 people strong now. And so we are still living a lot of those challenges that most probably around the table, I believe we have. So, the first one is being overworked. Just to take a few figures, here 72%, taking your device to bed, the difficulty of disconnecting from the daily life, from the digital life, from the work constraints, not being able to take the time off, 50% more average work hours per week than kind of the standard 9-to-5 jobs. I've been there, done that in a way, if you want, kind of to share the pain. Working 6-7 days, finishing at 2 a.m., having a board breakfast at 6-7 a.m. the next day to close something, and this is something that, of course, is hard and is not sustainable through life. Then there's these insights on well-being issues. you know, there's one side it's kind of stress, 57% seeing a large impact on success of being too stressed out, not only on themselves but also on their teams. And then there's these insights on being 43% are unhappy with their fitness level, you know. So we will see later on that equilibrium between the physical, the mental well-being, and that life balance. On the other hand, this interesting study shows that the founders are still satisfied and confident in their startup. And in French, there's an expression where you have your nose in the steering wheel, you know, you're kind of full gears, full throttle ahead. And so you sometimes don't take the right time to step back and really understanding what's happening to you, to your team, and to your family around. So to introduce further this first topic, this first pillar of the journey, I had some fun kind of looking at different known and traditional angles of the founder's journey. To take an example, I kind of took a jump back 10 years ago when I was in my first startup in 2009 to 2011. So here you have Gartner's hype cycle, which is really about, you know, kind of when do technologies make bold promises, but then when do you really have that adoption, that market fit, that traction that enables you to really have a sustainable, successful business model and fit. And 10 years ago, myself, I was in this kind of technology trigger and peak of inflated expectations with big data, NLP, and kind of social analytics. We were analyzing alternative data for generating alpha to hedge funds, asset managers. And only many years later did we really find the market for that startup, which is still alive today, which pivoted, but still using the same technology that was designed. Today, in 2021, just to highlight a few, you can see that those very early stage tech triggers are decentralized finance, digital humans, I hear a lot about in terms of the healthcare space. And at the peak of inflated expectations, you know, who's not reading or hands-in or friends, family into NFTs, decentralized identity, etc. So this first angle to your journey, I think it's always interesting to reflect where you stand, you know, in terms of hype, in terms of technology, in terms of a market need. The second angle to the journey is the widely known as well J-curve, of course, with that valley of death and that correlation to your funding curve, you know, going from angels, friends, family, and fools to then the more professional market of VCs or institutional investors. And then kind of, you know, what happens when a product takes longer to develop, when you have some glitches in the team and that delays a bit maybe your roadmap, your R&D, when there's a glitch in the market as well that you don't have the expected sales. So sometimes, you know, you can always refer back to the past when saying, well, is it really the market that is ready? And that requires a lot of reflection internally, but also with your investors. The third angle to the journey is this reference to the book by Geoffrey Moore, Crossing the Chasm. And you can see that there will be a correlation with these three first journey curves, where how do you move from, you know, the early innovators and adopters that believe in your product, that believe in you as a team, to the majority that brings kind of that business model validation, that positive cash, linking it to the J-curve from before. And how do you cross this chasm is of course an interesting book. It has more of a marketing team angle to it, to really help you understand the challenges required to go to the next step beyond that. And then kind of, I just had fun blending a bit the three past journey angles into one, and to see that there is this chasm, also referred to the trough of disillusionment, or the J-curve is kind of that cash flow view of the valley of death. And the link I wanted to make here is this is very kind of financial marketing. It's not human-centric on the team, the founder, and your well-being, kind of the health side, the motivation, the stress. But of course, you will all feel the correlation, right? Stress levels for founding, for funding of the company, for the next growth phase. Do I have the right team, the right investors, you know? All of that, of course, brings in a heavy mental load, as we can see. So maybe I will, you can of course raise your questions through the chat, but I don't know if someone wants to make an intervention. You know, I don't want to intervene on this one, but I was just thinking on this fourth angle to the journey, which is more the emotional one. And so just picking a few, you know, images found online, what is the correlation between the funding, the market fit, kind of the business side of it with your human emotional one? I guess this is cyclical, you know, it's not, it ends and it finishes. I suppose a lot of us have this recurring through the journey as it goes. So it's more of a trend upside one. And then the question is, how do you not have that bubble burst? How do you keep up? So after this one, I have a bit of a kind of, you know, a break, a news flash, if I may say. I just saw something come over the weekend, which I thought interesting to share. And it's this article from indicating that Y Combinator reached out to all of its portfolio founders with something titled Plan for the Worst. This came out last week on May 19th. And Victoria, John, I'm sorry if a few of the audience will drop off after this slide, but I think it's important in this context of the bootcamp session topic we chose, of the founder's well-being and linking our journey with our well-being. You know, I highlighted a few of the very harsh words for founders' attention in terms of, is it time to initiate layoffs, to bring in cost-cutting measures, hiring slowdowns? Are we at the peak of a downturn? Is it now you're going to face troubles for fundraising? You know, so Y Combinator came forward with a few suggestions, with some insights, and also a video. I added the link here, happy to share thereafter, on how to save your startup during the economic downturn. So now you might refer to the previous slide and say, okay, is this kind of jumping me back into one of those trough mentally, you know, oh my God, what's happening? I should also right away get on a call with my advisors, with my investors, with my top management. How do we address this signal that we get from some very experienced and well-networked actors on the market? So I guess if there's a moment of silence, or if no one dropped off the call, I don't know. Maybe it's because they're curious as to what we can think after. But how does this market context now build pressure and increase to the risk of kind of stress, overwork? It certainly is, right? That's my view. But you can challenge us through the chat and the Q&A for later. What I believe is important as a first message is always thinking of your stakeholders. You know, there's yourself, the family, the team, your investors, the users, and I also added the media, because they can also add a lot of pressure in terms of market expectations, in terms of your reputation, and all of this, I believe, at the core, I surrounded it by culture, because I believe culture is important. It's the glue that will not only bring and stay as a closely knit team, the co-founders, but also the rest of the company, and with all of these stakeholders, in terms of how do you respond to stressful situations, how do you listen to your colleagues and further stakeholders. So I believe that was something of importance. Now we're kind of past the journey, you know, and more into the kind of the problematic. I'll just take two slides of concrete examples here. The first one is a statistic about depression, that all of these tough moments of the various angles to the journey can bring. You can see this study validated by UC Berkeley shows that 72% of the kind of the 242 pool of entrepreneurs, 72% indicated having some sort of mental health concerns. And as this quote from Notorious B.I.G. says, more money, more problems, you know, so sorry to say it, but it's not going to get easier, right? You kind of, there's this thinking amongst founders that the further you go, the easier it gets, you get more investing, you start validating your business model. But in the end, there's just more piling up on you, and it's how do you address that? I also put a quote from Remente. He's a Swedish, I believe, a co-founder of a digital health And there's an interesting kind of article on Sifted in the footnote there if you want to read it through. And he was very open with the community and sharing how he was feeling highly stressed, anxious, irritated, and kind of had all these symptoms in the end of not only depression, but maybe a burnout. And so one of the outcomes there is, being able to share and talk is key, especially in these moments. Think about those stakeholders. Don't hide out and close the doors, and also make your mental well-being a priority. In the US, I feel there's a strong drive. I have a lot of friends in the US. They wake up at 5, 6 a.m. They go run, they do yoga, meditation, then have a healthy breakfast, and they made their day before they even hit the work office, just because they cleared their mind of their objectives and what they will get done on the day. But at least in Europe, I think we're still culturally a bit further from that. The other one after this depression is a stress effect. And here just a few metrics again. The COVID-19 did not improve. Also, what I thought interesting here was kind of the gender difference. Even though 27% of these studies, small business owners are women, there is a pay gap, there's a funding gap, and kind of you see that before and after COVID, women who were kind of more protected from levels of stress and worry through this confinement, which made it much harder in terms of also funding, kind of made them surpass the levels of stress and worry that the male founders used to feel. So here, just a few insights for consideration and kind of roundtable if you'd like at the end. Getting into the solution out of this journey, some examples of concrete pain points with depression and stress. I thought interesting to bring out this case, and then Dimitri Maznitsa, our founder guest, will actually hop in to say a few words as well, is this concept of the wheel of life, which is, in the end, it's just a process. You get out of it what you put into it. That divides your life into several smaller segments, ranging from spirit, health, romance, friends, family, learning. And the goal is that, you have as balanced kind of a journey as well, because you start somewhere and then you want to take some measures, whether it's through building new habits, through having a coach, through using the various apps, kind of to bring this into your lifestyle to enhance your founder's well-being journey. Taking a personal example, of course, we're all here, have a link to tech. I just used this map. So this is indicative. It's not my actual score, but happy to exchange on my score. But here I just flagged apps that I use in all of these cases. And so kind of this is more the digital connectivity. I thought I would take one concrete example, and it's kind of the Live Better, which is a digital chat bot. You can use it daily, weekly, and you just interact, exchange with the bot, and it will listen to you. It will give you some actionable advice. The one I like often is we forget to thank people. It says, did you reach out to a family member, to an investor, to someone who matters a lot for you, and you realize you haven't talked in 2 months, and get back in touch. And so kind of, we all have this negativity bias. Meditation, of course, has a lot of value, but sometimes we miss that actionable, concrete steps to take through a day. So here I won't go into details, but there's a lot of methods. Here I just read through this blog on Medium of this lady that shared her own framework for emotional reset. We will go into more insights with Marzena, but just wanted to make a link that there's also, very interestingly enough, often an app that finds that pain point and that tries to help its user base in that way. So here is just a view I wanted to share. Marzena and I, as you saw, we're kind of sports addicts, aficionados, and the message I wanted to share is that this is not meant, kind of these solutions are not meant to be a pressure for you. I really see this as, the journey of having a benchmark, having a plan, have fun at it, whether you're solo, with your team, with your family. you can kind of match this to your journeys as a startup and an experience. Dimitri, the reason I invited him is that we shared an experience when I launched the Digital Health Accelerator. I created a program called Human Energy, where we were doing.
Hold on. Someone needs
Yeah, no, it's okay. Puteri went on mute. And we instead of having calls like this, you know, on Zoom and meetings, we started having walking meetings. So with all the founders, we were lucky enough to have a vineyard. We weren't drinking, well, not during work hours, but we knew that walking around the vineyard was a 25 minutes. And so you would get on the walking meeting and you had 25 minutes to close the topic. So you had also free from the front to front desk situation. You were side by side walking outside and, you know, having kind of these, whether it's preparing for an event, whether it's a different way of talking, interacting with your colleagues and team and investors, I believe brings a value. So that was just a sample to it. And then in parallel, always the app, the tech angle, you know, you can always walk into the local club or download an app. Something I had fun looking out of this, you can really see the cultural or the habit bias between Apple users and Android users, and maybe the impact of confinement had here, as Calm is kind of top one, Flow, which is an app for family, pregnancy, top two, you know, so it's kind of interesting to see how trends evolve. And actually, Dimitri will, I am sure, have a very relevant feedback to share on those top two first apps. So without further ado, if Dimitri, you would like to share a few insights from the person who's also living it.
Yeah, thank you, Jerome, again for having me today. And yeah, it's a very insightful presentation. So I'd like to add that my startup journey started about 7 years ago. And since that time, we have built an international company with the headquarters in Dubai and about 5 branch companies in different places. So we are now operating in Southeast Asia, countries like Indonesia, and also in Latin America. And with Jerome, we had an activity. We took part in Grants for Accelerator in Switzerland about 3 years ago, I guess. And it was really good experience that empowered, to my personal way of thinking, the mindset of all the entrepreneurs that took part in this accelerator. So yeah, everything that was that we discussed today is true. And to personal my way of thinking, you have to build your own rules and to have sustainable mindset. This is the most important. And because during the startup journey, it's very difficult to focus on the most important things, because you always have problems with your product, your I don't know, with the product, with the let's say common stuff, but you have to focus on the most important things. And among the most important things, there is family, there is your there are your partners, and you have to be fair with them. And of course, there is your health and there is your mindset. So this is the most important thing that you have to, let's say, put on the first place every time.
Thanks, Dimitri. And actually, the sample picture I showed here, you know, this is maybe, or actually, Dimitri would have thought it was extreme if I had actually told him what we were going to do. But we woke up 5 a.m. At 6 a.m. we were on our bikes and we went up 1,000 meters. This is in Valais in the Swiss Alps. And we did this with Dimitri as skiing, as in mountain biking, and kind of it's that human kind of that equilibrium between the physical effort of saying, I will try to reach the top. As you can see, it's not all road. There was gravel. At some point, we were even carrying the bikes on the back, I believe, at the very top, because of it was steep and high altitude. And in the end, we shared a moment outside of the office where we got to know each other better, where we got to support each other mentally through the effort, and where all of the founders that took part in the program actually there said, hey, I will never make it there, you're crazy. We did a hike to a lake, we went to mountaintops, and it was kind of that correlation between what sports and mental well-being activities can also do, and then being pumped and energized and bring back that learning to your team, to how you manage the company, to how you create a culture. And then sometimes also, I have to say, to be a bit more understanding with your colleagues that themselves sometimes have achieved that wish for a mental, physical balance, but that the work hours don't enable. And so, when possible, giving that time brings a lot of value. Thanks, Dimitri, for sharing that. Do you want to share any other insights? You lived through a demo day. There is going to be some great opportunity for the founders here to be on stage. From the demo day you lived, is there any kind of correlation you want to make with that journey you lived yourself? We know we were doing morning meditation, morning yoga, morning runs, kind of how that prepared you to do your best on stage on a demo day.
So I really want to point out that the most important is to focus on yourself, on your emotion, on your expertise, because if you let's say if you scale this journey, this startup journey, you will find that this journey is the pathway of your development, of your, let's say, education, because you're during this meetings with your partners, with your customers, you educate yourself. So and the most important thing is how you feel during this period, during this startup journey. So, and yes, as Jerome said, we had very important activities together. This 5 a.m. cycling was one of them, and it was really great experience. And since that time, we've built, first of all, very good relationships. And now I'm trying to use the same tactic when I want to, let's say, find a new partner and make a business with him or her. So this is a really good technique to make new connections and to increase the relationships. And everything that can promote your physical state, your physical activity, even if it is a simple walk together, it's better than nothing.
Jerome, if I could jump in, I'd like to engage our founders since we don't have too much time left. I'm curious, I got one comment that said, 72% have mental problems. That's sure true. Among the folks on the call, any personal experiences with how you have dealt with these issues in your own founder's journey? And then I do have one question that someone also asked. But anyone want to jump in with their experiences? You can just click unmute and go for it.
Hello, my name is Maxim. Can I say?
Yeah, Maxim, go ahead.
Yeah, I would not say that I managed this, but I'm now in such situation, burning out. So trying to find the solution how to recover.
Well, this is a question I got actually from one of our education tech companies. So 72% have problems. Is there any research on the ones that don't have problems and why they don't? Is it maybe their personality? Is it maybe they're not first-time founders, but they've been through this and know what to deal with? Or do you have a sense of the founders, Marzaine and Jerome, that you work with that seem extraordinarily well-balanced, how they pull that off?
Yeah, okay, so I will share my experience, and also what I'm later on planning to share with you is really based on my 30 years of experience, making a roadmap and creating a balance between physical and mental health, which I think is the foundation if you want to be successful. But my experience is that when I meet founders and very, very successful entrepreneurs, those who really make it, they've developed a set of tools and habits, and they just actually like myself, they will never ever succumb to, it's without fail. You have to create a routine, and it's not boring routines. It can be amazing, fun routines. But if you have the discipline to follow that routine, you will protect yourself from stress and from various other, downfalls or difficult things that will happen in your journey. But this routine, these tools, and we can go in, I want to share a few.
Yeah, why don't you go ahead, because we only have about 12 minutes left, so go ahead.
Okay, cool. Yeah, sure. So really, I really think that unless you have lived through it yourself, it's difficult to be credible when it comes to these topics. I'm absolutely passionate about this, and I can talk about it for hours. And I've helped many founders, including our own CEO, with creating a kind of healthier path and journey for them. So I was always in the past obsessed with having a plan, having a roadmap when it comes to education, sports, traveling, whatever. You got to have a plan. What's the plan? But then as I got older, I realized that I also have to be flexible, because if I'm too obsessed with the plan and with my, challenges, whether I want to do a competition or whether it's an education, I miss out on a lot of things, a lot of things that life just shows you or throws at you. But I think that the challenging yourself every year, maybe even every month, sign up for something that has always been something scary and something that you have, you've kind of been interested, but you've never dared to do. And it's all about this, reprogramming your brain and whether it's public speaking or climbing a mountain. So this is now more of a focus for me, but of an ecosystem, to try to remember what surrounds us. And you've seen these ecosystems before. It's about sleep, it's about nutrition, it's about, charging your system and having the guts to say, yes, I know that there is like the list of to-dos and the Zoom calls and the meetings, but to carve out every day, half an hour, start small, half an hour of time to either meditate or to read a book or to go for a walk or to do some cardiovascular exercise. This will be what saves you. I have seen many, many times people who are extremely successful and then slowly but surely they start, they make concessions when it comes to alcohol or nutrition or sleep, and it just piles up. Our bodies, we're not robots. Our bodies eventually will start sending alarm signals. And if you don't listen to your body, it might be too late. You might not be able to, you will actually end up in the hospital. But the good news is that all the research that I've been reading, and there's a lot of studies now interesting coming out, it shows that only 24 to 25% of our genes are inherited. So these genes were born like this, but 75% you can turn them off or turn them on. So you can influence so much. I think that's amazing. So I just want to give you a few takeaways, to just remind you. I have tons of more information about this. We will meet in San Francisco, or you can reach out to me. But one, sleep, it's your superpower. It's the best protection and the best medicine when it comes to everything from immune system to brain recovery, memory, and so on. So everyone, we all have different sleep patterns, but if there is one thing that sleep scientists are telling us is to go to sleep and wake up the same time every day. So no matter whether it's the weekend or not weekend, instead aim for, if you feel tired, try to do some, some creative activity and then have a siesta, 10 minutes nap. Sorry, thank you. Move your body. So create time to move. I already spoke about this, and do what you like. You don't have to go on the treadmill in a horrible, smelly gym. Do something that you like. You like dancing? Well, guess what? It's the best cardiovascular exercise ever. So go and shake and, choose something that really makes you feel good, that is not an obligation. Good habits. So apparently it only takes 21 days to change a habit. So what is that? That's really very few days, right? Start small. Tell yourself that as of tomorrow, I am going to, go for a 10 minutes walk, and do this for 21 days, then increase. Don't try to do too much at the same time, because then you're actually going to probably fail. Next one. Okay, so the clutter-free environment is actually quite important. Jerome, if you could go back. Remove all these objects that have no purpose, that just gathers dust at your desk, at your home. Create this clean space. It's very powerful. It sounds probably a little bit silly, but it really, really works. A lot of air, a lot of light. Remove all your, blue or like device before you sleep. Next one. Yeah. Emotion. Okay, so this is really about toxicity and people who are standing in the way of your development. And we were talking about, how to, not just how to accelerate, but really about how to live this balanced life. If you have people like this, you're entrepreneurs, you are founders, you can choose your teams. You create the culture that you yourself would like to have. So you almost should, and this is something I'm reading more about now, that you should almost create a vision for the culture that you want to build, not just the roadmap for your business plan and where you will be in terms of sales and growth and so on, but what type of culture do you want to have? And people who are toxic, who are bringing you down, no time, you have to remove them. Okay, and this is something that I have really discovered. I mean, we all, I think, grow up, hopefully, in good environments, good families, and we've been told that, sharing is caring and we have to be kind and so on. But I've really discovered that giving back and being engaged in a community or helping someone without wanting anything back, but just, this unconditional help is incredibly powerful. Ideas for you to accelerate. So just a few things. Public speaking very often comes back. So you have to be comfortable at expressing yourself. This, I think you guys are used to standing and speaking in front of audiences, presenting, but Toastmasters are really good. Hire a coach, get the help that you need. Theater obviously is good. Everything from improvised theater to theater classes. There is a lot of help out there. This we can move because everyone knows. Yeah, you can fast forward a bit. Reducing sleep problems, anxiety, and stress. There's so much out there in terms of apps. I'm not very good at meditating on my own, so I use Insight Timer. It's an amazing app where you have short, long, you can regulate and find the right people who can guide you. And specifically the going back to sleep, I've used a few times when I've also been stressed at work. You wake up, I'm sure it has happened to a few of you, where you wake up in the middle of the night and your head just switches on and you're thinking about all the things that you need to do. Write them down, put up an app, Insight Timer or any other app, and listen to this. Okay, so this is our founder, Decisive's founder, challenging me physically as I'm presenting something. He just goes off, but yeah, I just threw it in there. This is how daily life looks like over here at Decisive. And then I think I have one more slide just to finish off. Okay, I think about this every day. So as far as we know, we only have this one life. Life very rarely turns out the way, you've planned it. I've learned that now. And nobody has promised us anything, nobody. So we have an obligation to live it the best we can. That's it.
Thank you, Marzena. And kind of to then close off our presentations before Q&A or other interactions, 2 key takeaways. Basically, listen to yourself and share the pain, friends, family, online communities. You might have seen in my wheel of life, I had put meetup for friends because, you can meet other founders, other sports aficionados. I made friendships through what was before just an online community, meeting in person with people that shared common interests or problems. And of course, the whole reason of our talk today is also because, well, Decisive is an investment firm. And you know that the 3 most common reasons for failure of any startup is the team, the funding, and the market fit. And often the team is the first thing put on there. And so more and more, kind of angels, VCs, other investors, they will always look at the quality of the founding team. And if they sense this, my view, at least is if you sense this view of weakness in terms of being able to face the challenges and complement the toughness of day-to-day at the office, are you really the most person fit to take the company forward or investable? So thank you, everyone. Thank you to our guest. And then we can address anything you'd like.
Well, thank you very much. We've gotten a few comments. I'll just quickly read. One of our folks does flamenco 3 times a week. One of the folks enjoys his digital fitness trackers. One mentioned that they just fired a team member who was very negative in less than 1 month. And so it's always important, as you said, to have an A team. Very quickly, any other, we only have about 4 minutes left. Within that 4 minutes, I want to remind you we have another session right after this, and you need to switch to a different Zoom link that should be in your calendar for a session starting at 9 o'clock. But in the last couple of minutes, any other questions someone would just like to unmute and ask directly? I will say I've been cleaning up my desk while you're talking. That's one of my great weaknesses, and you've just inspired me to clean up my desk.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. Bill?
This is Bill.
Hi.
I would like to say first, thank you very much. Great presentation. Something that isn't talked about, and it's a much needed topic. Would like to ask, I will be at the dinner on the 13th, would like to tag up with you. So be looking for me because I'll be looking for you.
Great.
That's Bill, right?
Bill from
Yes,
New Frontier Aerospace.
Yeah,
Yes,
cool.
thank you.
Bill, I chose this closing slide just because as a kid I loved Looney Tunes, but it's a team. You have the hunter, you have the fast runner, the doer, you have the smart guy, you have the cat, the guy that, he always fails and iterates. He's looking for the best tool to catch the other guy, So, but in the end, Bugs Bunny is eating the carrot, right? So it's the health, the side. So I just thought this represented the complementarity of the teams you have to build or have built already. And, kind of bring that carrot in the team, make it healthy, make it fun. And that's all, folks.
And we would love to hear from you if you want to connect through LinkedIn prior to the event in San Francisco. If some people might have personal questions. So very, very happy to share more information and yeah, we're here.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else?
Well, Nancy, do you want to say a few words? You've done a little bit of work in this area, just how this session spoke to you.
Yes, hi, good morning. Hello, everyone. I just thought this was so relevant, and thank you for bringing this topic to the forefront. I think we're all a little overworked during the pandemic, so thank you so much.
Pleasure.
Thanks.
Yeah, and again, thank you so much, Marzena and Jerome from Decisive Capital Manage, our wonderful XTC partner. And I think this is not something that's talked about, right? We focus on the mechanics, but what about our mental fitness, our personal happiness? So thank you for sharing with us some of the great tips on how we could work-life balance or work-life integrate so that we can become happier individuals.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you,
All right.
Victoria, John.